Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Whole Being Healing podcast. I'm Lisa Warner. I'm the author of The Simplicity of Self-Healing and co-creator of Whole Being Healing and Lisa and Mara's Magical Mystery School for Whole Being Healers.
And I'm Mara Leon S., and I am co author of The 7 Steps to Successful Relationships and co creator of Whole Being Healing and Lisa and Mara's Magical Mystery School for Whole Being Healers. And yeah, that's me.
And our guests today are a husband and wife team who are making an incredible difference in the world and an incredible difference in our lives. And I am certain that this conversation is going to start to make a big difference in your life too. So, Brandi Durham is a founder and systems architect devoted to restoring original authority, clarity, and responsibility in human life. She's the primary architect behind ERA, a living economic and governance framework designed to help individuals step out of dependency and back into direct relationship with their own authority, resources, and record. As a mother and long-term builder, Brandi works with precision and integrity, creating structures that hold in real life, not just in theory.
Awesome. And Ryan Tyther is a builder of systems that honor free will and a strategist known for his grounded approach to aligned leadership, structure, and real world responsibility. He's a co architect of ERA, a living economic and governance framework, easy for me to say, designed to help people step out of dependency and into self authority, clarity, and aligned provision. As a husband and father, Ryan builds with long term thinking, integrity, and foundations that actually hold weight in real life. So, we are so excited that we found out about what you're doing because it so perfectly aligns with what we're doing, right, Lisa?
Yes, one of the things that we teach in whole being healing, when we talk about healing ourselves, it is so critically important that we are able to stand in our own authority and make our own choices that come from our direct connection to source, so that we are sourcing our own information from inside. Because when we are all taught to trust the doctors, do what the doctor tells you, listen to the experts, then we start to outsource our authority and we start to give up our personal power. So, as part of what we teach in whole being healing, when we found out that Ryan and Brandi are taking practical, actionable, real life steps to doing all of this, it was like, yes, you're our people.
Yes. And bringing people together in such a beautiful way. Um, because as we're teaching in the mystery school, like when we try to do this alone, when we try to heal alone, we can do it, but it's hard. It's a lot of work. And when we come together, we are just unstoppable. And we just increase our energy and our power. And yeah. So I just want to mention the mission, which probably many of you watching this already know, of Lisa and Mara's Magical Mystery School for Whole Being Healers is that by 2030, we have shifted 144,000 men and women from fear to love, activated their ability to self heal, and aligned them with their soul purpose. And so we are loving focusing on that soul purpose aspect because that's where we're all going. And you guys clearly are fully aligned at this point with your soul purpose. Of course, things are always unfolding further and further, but we would love to have you share a bit about what your path and your journey has been discovering what that soul purpose is. And whatever order, however you want to just kind of talk together, whatever you want to do, we'll just have a natural, free flowing conversation here. So
Well,
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thank you, especially for having us, for asking us to be here,
Yeah.
for stepping into your authority for this alignment to even happen, and the way that we found each other. And like you said, everything is always unfolding. As far as our paths, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? How do you want to do this?
You go first because this is, yeah, you go first and then I'll have to.
Okay. All right. So, uh, the journey that I went on to get to where I'm at today, to stand in my authority the way that I do, and you guys, you witness how I stand. um, it didn't come from just waking up one day and saying, you know what, I want to stand in my authority. That was not a thought in my head. Had no idea that that would even be a conversation coming out of my mouth one day. It was more so, you're suffering. You know that you're suffering, and you know that it's by your own hand. And you know that there's only one being in the entire existence that can help you find your way out of it. And it's time to figure out how you got here because you're fed up. You're tired of circling and cycling the same situations and scenarios with different people. It was a place of being literally sick and tired of myself. And which caused me to be sick and tired physically all the time. But I went on that journey because I saw that I had a hand in everything. Even when I was asleep to a lot of things, I still realized my own hand. I still took ownership of my hand being involved in it, and that I couldn't be someone that just went out here pointing the finger at everything external to myself and saying everyone else is to blame but me for where I'm at. That was the biggest thing for me, was taking that responsibility. That's what got me out of it. I remember, um, I was looking into online work because back then I was married, a different marriage, and he wasn't making a lot of money. There was some weeks $40 was groceries for the whole family.
Mm.
So we were eating microwavable meals, ramen noodles, stuff like that. The stuff that we know for sure is not healing us and helping us. That was what our options were. And I was like, well, I felt I want to help. I want to do something to help. I want to be able to like make sure we're able to feed our kids and ourselves. And as I started to calculate what that would look like for me to go into the job industry, I realized that it would put us negative $1,000 a month because we'd have to add another car, more insurance, lunch for both of us. Like there was a lot more fees coming to the table. The daycare, $295 a week per child, and we had three. It just didn't feasibly and financially make sense whatsoever for me to go that route. So I was like, okay, there's got to be some other way. And I remember getting to that point, like I said, fed up, but overwhelmed. I remember feeling very overwhelmed and kind of helpless. And I fell to my knees in in the nursery because I was pregnant. And this was the third child that wasn't born yet. So I fell on the ground in his nursery and I just prayed. I didn't know what else to do. I was like, there's everything I try to do, it's not working, so I don't know who else to talk to but you. I know I haven't been here in a long time, but hey, we need to have this conversation right now because I'm drowning.
Yep.
And I said, I don't want you to, and this is my favorite part about this because I didn't go to him from a place of weakness. I went to him from a place of empowerment and said, I don't want you to do this for me.
Mm.
I want you to get emotional, you guys.
Good. Go for
um,
it.
I want you to show me a way. That was the only thing I knew to do. I was like, I'll pick up the reins and I will go. I just need a way. And I left it at that. I cried my eyes out and then I got up and I went back to my normal day. And these opportunities started popping up in my feed on social media. And this was back when, Facebook and all of that was so new. So it wasn't this huge thing yet like it is now. And I saw it was for MCA, Motor Car of America Club. It was an MLM style thing where you could get rewards for referring people. And it was $40 to sign up. And mind you, $40 was a week's worth of groceries for us. So I was sitting there like in this fear state of I can't risk not feeding my family to go in on something that I'm not even sure I can make money with. So I turned it down. And
Wow.
it kept popping back up, and I would just kept turning it down. And what was happening
Hello, you
the way,
asked me to show
yeah,
you a way.
yeah, the way just kept coming, and I kept turning it down. So then
Yeah.
this other thing pops up called Zip Not a Zilch. And it was a referral program for offers, trial offers. And it was saying for $11 you can get started. And I was like, okay, I can ask my mom for $11. I can, like I can, I'm gonna go ask her for $11. And she was like, sure, fine, do it. Well, I go to sign up, and as soon as I paid the 11, I was excited and I was ready to go. And it said, okay, but you didn't unlock anything. You got to now do these other trial offers. It
Wow, right?
equated to $40 exactly by the time I got done. And I'm
Love
sitting
it.
there like, you have a sense of humor. Like, either way, I was paying $40 to open that path. It didn't matter what way I went, but 40 was the path opener.
Right?
And so I after I got done, I had no idea. I had worked in sales because in back when I was in Arizona, I worked at U-Haul International in their main headquarters. My mom was the CFO at one point, so she was right there beside the CEO and the president of the company. And I would go to her office right there at the top floor and go eat my food with her and everybody that worked there, and then go back down to the floor that I worked on. And I was in sales and roadside assistance. And I remember when I left roadside assistance, when you went to sales, you got commissions for every time someone would put their card on file to book their U-Haul. And at 16, I became one of the highest salespeople on the floor. And then I became the trainer for all the new hires that were coming in. And
Wow.
so I already had, and not just that, that my grandparents, or and her, my mom always would fill up a cooler for me to sit outside of my grandparents' store when I was little. So about 5, 6 years old, I'd be out there selling sandwiches and lemonade and all kind of stuff outside of a store. So I've always had that. Even before that moment, I was trying to run my own business online before social media even was a thing. So when this came up, I was sitting there going, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. What do I do with this? The person that signed me up got the money for the commission and then took off and blocked me. I have no idea what to even do with this. I just bought something and I don't know where to go. Well, I found someone, they got on a phone call with me and they explained just what the form and function of it was. That's really all I needed was clarity. And when they explained that to me, I hit my first four figures in my first month inside of doing any online sales. I remember standing in front of the computer when I made my first 20 and jumping up and down. And my son, my oldest son that I was talking to you guys about earlier, he was like, so I'll
Oh
never
my gosh.
forget it. So what's so good about that? I was like, I didn't have to leave the house to do it. That's what was so good about that. I did it right here by your side. Your mom didn't have to leave.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah,
it,
that's
it
huge.
went, yeah, so it went from, we're spending $40 to my ex-husband saying, where's the card at? It's got thousands on it. I need to go get this. And that became this norm for a minute. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to try something else. I want to go into MLM at this point and see what that is because the commissions were bigger. I could set my family up faster is what I thought. That wasn't my path. I
Yeah.
realized that that was not the path God was trying to take me down. So then I said, you know what? I want to see what I do with 6 months of making no commission, just going out here and helping people, just helping them see themselves, helping them get better results in what they're doing, helping their sales in whatever company they were in. How would that impact me? I found out I was more passionate. I was way more passionate, but it wasn't feeding my family. So there was that imbalance there. And I
Mhm.
had to find out how to balance that back out, which was one of my hardest things to do because I'm one of those people that I have give and give and give and give and give, and I have to like build boundaries for myself to protect myself from just siphoning everything out of me until I have nothing left. And so anyway, after that, I kind of went on a journey. It was like I went into the music industry. I did all kind of different things, cannabis industry. There was just so many different things that I went into and different areas that God was asking me to go to. I had lost my children in the midst of all of this. I lost them for 4 years. And I remember this was a huge one because this is a big fight that a lot of people are in this current day, and the system constantly trying to take their children, and it's good people that they're taking their children from
Yeah,
it a
it's
lot of
horrible.
times. And so that was what really gave me my roar when that happened. But even in that instance, I remember talking to God and being like, I want to fight this, but I don't know what to do. I don't even know how to stand on my own feet. I had just gotten separated from my husband. I had never had to rely on my own self for financial independence or anything like that. I didn't know how to take care of myself, much less them. And so I was like, how do I go about this? And I remember him very clearly saying, you're gonna feel broken, you're gonna feel abused, you're gonna feel exhausted, but you got to stay fixed on me because I'm the redeemer, I'm the resolver, not you. I'm the one that does all of this, and I need you to have faith and trust in me. So back then, faith and trust were already circling my biofield. I didn't know that it was going to turn into writing trusts and and helping people step into that faith and that authority later down the road. But I'm thankful for everything that I went through because him getting me to do that was the hardest thing in my life, to let go of a situation
Yeah.
that was tied to something that came out of my body.
Mhm.
Like that was a very hard one to say. What do you mean let go of this? So then how am I ever gonna get them back? How's anything gonna happen?
Yeah.
If it was not for my faith and my trust in my creator, I can guarantee that I would never have found my authority. I would have never, realized my voice. I would have never been able to make it through a lot of situations that I went through. That became the thing I leaned on. Like, I can't hold myself up. I need you. I gotta give you everything. So at this, I was
As she
talking about,
leans on Ryan.
yeah, I was talking about this today was, I had to learn to just let go and let him resolve and redeem and do all the things. And that's a big thing right now because everybody is trying to be the vengeance for all the things that they don't like. They're trying to get remedy for all of these things that our true authority comes in our ability to be obedient and surrender to a will that is higher than us and to trust and have faith in our creator being brilliant enough to have built a system that already had governance in it. That governance built our body. That governance is holding us all together right now to have this conversation. And when we try to bypass that governance or step into its position, we throw the entire field into distortion. And that's what we're witnessing today in reality is that everything is in distortion. And like what we were saying with you guys about authority and healing, they go hand in hand. You can't have healing without authority. If your entire body and biofield is trillions of molecules, cells, and you're the leader of the army, and you don't have authority to command it, it's not doing nothing. You're just speaking, but you're speaking from a place of fear, a place of doubt. And what you're telling your army is, I'm uncertain. I'm uncertain, so therefore I don't know what to tell you to do because it can't act off uncertainty. It
You're right.
needs direction and it needs certainty in your voice.
And
And
trust.
yes,
That's what we talk about too, is like trust that your body is on your side.
yeah,
So just like you trust that God is on your side, you have to trust your body's on your side.
yeah. If God built your body and you trust God, then why would we not trust our body to do what it was built to do? Why do we need to, like Lisa said, outsource that out to a third party to
Yeah.
get them to do it for us and us not? That alone is lack of trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And knowing who we are, it's like, yeah, it's,
yeah. So my journey was a long one, full of a lot of learning lessons, as I'm sure anybody listening to this is, and you guys too. We didn't get here from lack of suffering. We got here by being in the fire. So it's a lot, and I could go on and on about it, but the biggest thing for me is that I let go. I let things unfold the way that they were supposed to unfold, and it brought forth who I was.
Mm.
Instead of me putting what I thought I was out there, instead of me going out into the world. I remember when he made me deaf for 6 months and I couldn't hear anything but him. Everybody around me was freaking out. You're deaf. You can't hear me. And I was like, this is great. What'd you say? I can't intake any of this nonsense anymore. I can't hear nothing. And I didn't fear that I was deaf. I didn't go to a doctor about me being deaf. I had this knowing inside of me that it wasn't something that was forever, that it was just a moment that he was trying to teach me something, get me to just listen only to him and learn how to just tone out the rest of the noise of the external world so that I could stand with him, even when everything around me was going to try and fear me and bait me and throw something in my face. I could just go, no,
Yeah.
that is not what he sounds like. He does not sound like distortion, confusion, and chaos and complication. He doesn't sound like that. He's very steady, very stern, very and gentle at the same time, very solid. It's rock solid. I don't have to be in confusion about it. I don't have to sit and overthink it when it's him. And so that experience alone helped my authority come to the surface again, and then other experiences where people tried to trespass my biofield. That's why I'm so like, you guys are in what I've been working on, and you know how important non-trespassing each other is to me. Like all the times that people would trespass a biofield, that taught me to stand up for myself, to value my biofield, to value my body, because that's a blessing and a gift. This body and my essence being inside of it is such a gift,
Right.
and I need to honor that instead of constantly complaining about it, constantly having no standards and boundaries about it, constantly outsourcing everything to somebody else because it's easier to do that because then I don't have to take the responsibility of the outcome of what's happening when I do make the choice, right? So that one was another big one for me. So I took that responsibility and I took that care, that consideration, and that love for myself and said, I'm going to take care of this biofield in this vessel. I'm going to honor it. Because if I can't honor it, I can't love it. I can't care for it. I can't consider it. How can I possibly do that with anybody else external to it?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what set the tone for the rest of my life.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And there's so much value for others in your ability to see, to make those distinctions, to see, when your biofield is being, when your energy is being drained. That was something that when I started to recognize, oh, and now I'm having a whole other experience of it, being exposed to what you're doing, that anytime I'm making a connection with something that is not of is not real, is not, light filled, love filled reality, then I can feel it in my body. My body gets weak. I just, and I didn't know, like, I'm just like, oh, wow, my whole life for so long, I didn't even notice this. And when I did start to notice it, it was like that connection to the medical system. Oh, what's wrong with me? Something's wrong with me. I need it fixed. I need to take a pill. I need to have a procedure. I never was one to go for those things, but it was in my programming, right? That, oh no, something's wrong. Well, yeah, something is wrong, but it's it's not what you think it is. It's what you know it is. Like I really knew that stuff deep down. I always knew it. Anyway, so yeah, awesome. So Ryan, how about you?
So we, if you've ever, when we ever talk about like how we kind of grew up, all the stories of things that she used to tell me of like how her family was and the things that she went through as a child and even going into teenage and young adult. I'm sitting here and she makes me feel like my life was just, I was like a saint. Like nothing ever happened. Like, because I didn't have to deal with family drama to the scale that she did. And I didn't go through the things with, the horrible relationships that she went through and the circumstances. So I would say if you compared our lives as like growing up, she definitely had it in a more, what's the word?
I would just
She had
say,
more adversity to deal with than I did, even though we all have our own adversity in different ways based on what we're going through and an experience at the time. I would say compared to me, hers were a little bit more intense. But with that, I still had my trials and tribulations. And growing up, I had low self esteem. I didn't really have a lot of confidence in myself. Uh, was very overweight and off the charts for pretty much my entire youth up until I got to high school and college and I started getting in shape. But I was luckily enough to my path started to like this awakening process where it was sports. Once I started playing sports and I started seeing that the mind has more power over the body, that you can push through certain aspects of pain or what you would think is suffering because your body's hurting, it's sore, you're doing things that you don't think you could do because your body just wants you to be comfortable. And your mind has to override that and say, no, you got to push through because that's where growth is. And if, like, even if you're like, for example, you go into the gym, you can do as many reps as you want, but if they're not burning reps, you're not actually hitting the muscle the way you need to. The muscle gets built and strengthened under tension that creates lactic acid, that burning effect that people get when they go to the gym. That's where muscle is built. That's where endurance is built. So it's literally pushing through physically, molecularly, everything, actual pain, knowing that on the other side of that, you will get stronger and you will show more muscle and you'll have more resilience and it will fortify your brain to keep going even further and further and further. That's why people get addicted to like bodybuilding. They get
Right.
addicted to sports. It becomes a high and endorphins, runner's high, right? They get these amazing dopamine and endorphin rushes that keep them going. So I started realizing that when I started playing football and sports, and I was like, man, this feels really good. And when I things really changed when I got to college because that's where personal development came in. I had really good mentors indirectly. I didn't seek them out. It was more so, I guess you could say it was aligned because of the choices that I made and how I would make decisions in my life. I was always going for an amplifying place and what I think is going to be fun and exciting. And I got led to people that ended up being like coaches of mine and would imprint me with these people that were speakers and motivational people and books and they were using it in our workouts like in our speeches before games so like it was already imprinted in my head so when I got into in the same realm we ended up doing the same thing it's like MLM. uh I didn't really succeed with MLM, but what I got from it was being able to work on yourself and growth and mental strategies. And that pushed me to believe in myself even more. So my confidence started going up. I started getting healthier, I started getting in shape. And I started noticing energy about myself that I was really good with people and I could talk and like I can light up a room. Like I can literally become friends with anybody if you give me 10 minutes with them. So it's like it's really easy to know to see that and it helped me propel my networks and I went from working at one point 3 jobs. I actually for a couple of years despised jobs because I found out how you can make money for yourself and you don't need it. Employees are just slaves. So my mindset was I'm never getting a job because they're slaves and like I'm not a slave and blah 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 blah. It's reality smacked me a little bit over those years and I was like, okay, I need money. I got to do something. I got to compromise in some way. So I ended up getting like 3 jobs and I was single and I was doing like 30, like 90, 80, 90 hours a week because that's all I had. I had work, gym, eat good, and repeat. So that's all I really cared about.
Yep.
And because of my work ethic and my people skills, I realized that I had worked myself in the networks that were really starting to elevate it. So I started getting opportunities, and one of them was to move to Florida in a house that she had previously lived in. I didn't know her at the time, so I lived in her old house before I
Oh,
met her, and that was cool. And I that was an opportunity to even expand my brand. I started going more online, started doing more speeches like Facebook Lives, and I started growing a following because the one thing that I've realized that really captivates people and keeps them engaged with what you do and makes them trust you is if you're being transparent and authentic about everything. Because the moment you try to hide it, people can tell no matter what you say if you're lying or not. If you deal with enough people and you can read body language, you can feel energy, you can tell when someone's lying to you. So like
yep.
and I knew that. I can read that in other people. So I was like, why would I try to hide something? So I became authentic. I just spoke my mind and it wasn't anything ever controversial. It was always pushing yourself. I was trying to be a motivational speaker, a coach, someone that would get you to push past your limitations so that you believe that you had none because the only limitation you ever have in your life is the ones you put on yourself. And that's proved by science. That's proved by molecular mechanics. That's you guys made a whole book and documentary on it. Like so it's real scientific proof that you literally set your own limitations. And I still knew this at that time. So I pushed and pushed and pushed. And I realized that my biggest followings and my biggest breakthroughs were when I was my most authentic self. And that again led me to other circles. And I got invited to move into from Florida to Arizona. And within this is all within a time frame of me quitting my jobs, working 3 jobs to I would say about a year later. Uh, 90 hours a week, depending on a paycheck, to sitting in a Starbucks with a former current billionaire talking about opening up Poke Bowl franchises for a previous MLB Hall of Fame pitcher. And this was within a year. So it's like things that I guess the common folk that don't see their own limitations would say that's not possible. What school did you go to? Did you get a degree? Like, is your dad connected? I had no connections whatsoever in my family. Nobody put me on the spot because I was just a family friend or a family, relative. I worked my ass off, got into the right networks. People could see that energy and they wanted to be surrounded by it. And
Yep.
in that short time frame, I was just like, guys, it's possible. It's freaking I was working 90 hours a week, and a year later I'm sitting at a coffee shop with a billionaire. Like, to that point, but mind you, all this, I had a state of mind of everything is always working out for me. Like, I just knew that. I was so excited about life that it was a constant high. I woke up every day just like, let's go, like, let's do this, with that still being naive because I had not gone through being, I would say, screwed over or having to deal with horrible situations. This was that time period where things really started, like I was being tested. When you get into a certain field very fast and you haven't learned valuable lessons, people can that have been in the upper status quo for a while can see that and they can manipulate you and they can try to take control that narrative inside your head. So this is the first time I started noticing people trying to manipulate me. They
Mm.
would do favors for me that I didn't ask them for and they would hold that over my head like, okay, now you owe me, when I never asked for that favor. And I was like, okay, that's not right. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. And I come to realize that the people I was working with and the people they were working with, this is how they operated. And then I really quickly realized that if you really wanted to make it in the world, in the upper elites, the upper echelons, to make those billions of dollars, you got to play the game. And that's what people started doing. So even if you came in with the good intentions, like, I want to help people,
Mm.
eventually the
It
world
gets you.
molds you and it makes you become the byproduct of what they've become. And it's just this handed down lesson of you got to screw somebody over. You need leverage. You got to blackmail. You got to do favors and then hold that over them. It's like I started seeing that. And luckily, I saw that and I got out of it. I stepped out of it. I was like, this doesn't feel right.
No, I
And
can't imagine you ever being willing to do that.
no,
It's a big teddy bear over here.
but
Let
I
me.
was
Right?
but I see the good in people. So, like, I was trying to see it like, okay, maybe they didn't mean it. Like, this is how maybe they're just trying to make money. And I was in the aspect I'm trying to make money too. I don't want to let go of this network because they are very well connected. Why would I want to leave that? Because then I lose money. I don't get this opportunity. I worked my ass off. I was working 90 hours a week. I don't want to do this again. So I left it anyway, but it ended up being, instead of working with them, I started doing my own thing. I was in the financial market, so I traded Forex just like she did. Um, and I had a strategy that was really working, and I had a lot of students, and I ended up meeting people that were over in Germany, and they wanted us to trade money for people that were over in Singapore and manage about $200 million. And mind you, I was like 22 years old, and they wanted me to manage me or get a team of people to manage $200 million. So, like, I was in the mix of getting into fields of that caliber. It's been following me for so long. Like, it just won't stop. People are just wanting to, like, that are billionaires or multimillionaires. They want to give me money. So I was just like, okay, but I was nervous because I didn't believe in myself. I still a little bit didn't believe in myself. So I tried to outsource it to other people, and those people didn't do the right thing and I lost these opportunities. But I also was happy because I knew that it wasn't going to be going in a certain path because these people also had bad intentions.
Yeah.
They weren't doing it for pure reasons. It was, how do we make more money? That's the goal. And I realized that if you do anything because it makes you money. Money motivation is the worst form of motivation because there's no actual emotional tethering to it, and you can never really stick to one thing. You'll just
Mm.
get involved. Oh, it's not making money more. Any more money? I'm gonna go to the next thing, and then the next thing, and then there's no like actual like
Soul purpose and
intention.
connection.
Yeah, there's no connection, there's no soul, there's nothing there where it's making you more amplified on the molecular level.
Hmm.
And I knew that deep down without truly knowing it. And all these events led me to realizing about this is when I came into manifestation. This is when I came into quantum physics. This is when I started coming into the truth about the world and like who runs it, how do they manipulate people, like the darkness of the world. I started really seeing the darkness of like what's really going on. And it like shook me to my core because I was like, this isn't right. People need to know about this. And this is when I met Brandi. I met her in 2018, and the first from the moment we met, like from shaking hands and saying hi, I'm Ryan, that was we've never been separated. Like from that moment, we lived in the same house since day one because that's a whole story in itself. But she met me as she was moving in, and we lived together for a whole month before we realized we were supposed to be with each other. So it was just ever since that day, we've not been apart except one single day, and that was this year. But it was a a compounding effect of me making choices from an amplified state, doing what was right, to then coming into a world that had darkness in it and seeing it for the first time, having my tribulations of being screwed over, and then coming into being a father was, I think, the next biggest thing because I had not finished working on myself yet. And children really kind of mirror who you are and they bring out parts of you that you didn't know you had to work on. And that was, I think, my biggest test is because I was still growing internally. And this is the thing that really put me on the I'm testing you now. And I saw it as God's putting me through this because he needs me to grow up a lot faster than a lot of people in these days are because some people don't grow up until they're in their 40s and 50s. Some people don't like there are people
If
my
they
age
ever do.
school with. There's people that are my age right now, like in their 30s, that are still going out partying, trying to look for the next thing to do. And it's like that's the culture that has been molded over the last, several few decades because of just the party life. And I realized that I was not going to do that, and I didn't want to do that. I haven't drank. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't do anything. I've always been more so just wanting to be on a clean path and wanting to make sure my head was always clear so that I can make choices. If I'm guilty of anything, it's caffeine, and I let go of that because I like being on upper. I like being happy and moving and getting production done and doing things and checking off lists. Like that's me. Not I don't want to do anything and I'm just gonna sit back and do
It's
nothing.
like you never liked cannabis.
I never I did smoke weed at one point in my life, but I was always the one that said, we need to stop. Let's stop. I was always the main person. Let's stop. We gotta stop. And like, let's drink coffee. Let's do this. So that we can get work done and get moving, go to the gym, feel good. Like that's me. That's my energy. So
Wow.
I realized that all of this ties into what we've built here and diving into the quantum physics, her showing me God because I grew up in a Catholic family, but not in a major religious way. Just more so go to Catholic school every Monday and just learn about God. And because I had no actual like ties to it, I detached from it very fast. So I for a while, anytime someone talked about God with me, I just I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know. I
Yeah.
got then it found out about quantum physics and I started saying the universe. And I was like, no, the universe has good things coming and intentions. And then
Right, right.
I found out about God and I'm like, God's not the religion. It's the source. It is the being that is the molecular law. It is the Holy Spirit. It's everything. We are all part of it. And I realized we're all connected in that way. And again, all provable by quantum physics or science. That I don't even want to say science because science is man's way of trying to catch up to what God said, and then they're just trying to depict it with the five senses. Versus all God's all omnipresent. It's no matter what you're in it, and just trying to observe it. Even watching a baby grow, nobody tells a baby to grow. It just grows like in the feet in the womb. We don't have to sit there and monitor it every single day, every single second of the day to make sure that the molecules are separating proportionally. Like it's gonna do it by itself. That's because it's coded to. The grass is gonna grow, the trees are gonna grow, our hair is gonna get longer. It's part of the world. It's part of God. And knowing that, seeing it, taking the leaps of faith that we did on the journeys that we've been on, because we've had to make a lot of hard decisions. We've been in a lot of industries and seen a lot of the darkness, but like she said, there are times where we we don't even know where money's coming from, and we have rent due tomorrow, or we have to leave, and then that day comes, and maybe the guy that we are renting from is like, you know what? I'll give you 2 extra days or 3 extra days, and then not on that day, all the money that we needed comes in. Like something happened. There's always a door that opens. Even if we had to leave, a door always open. And it's not just something that I can say is it might happen. No, it always happens. And you can't ever experience that unless you start taking leaps of faith. And that's where I started to really see it play out. I could tell somebody about faith all day long, but until a person actually takes a leap of faith into something they don't know what's going to come out of, but they know something will, they're not going to really know it.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line of faith. You can have every single day we have faith in something, and it's little bits of things. Even if it's like the faith that the person in front of you driving is going to make the left turn on time, so you can keep going. Like faith that you're not going to get in a car accident. Like, but not focusing on that, you just know I'm not going to get in a car accident. No, I'm going to get to where I need to go, and those are little bits of faith and things that you can kind of control. But when you start taking leaps of faith in places you don't have control, that's where your ultimate faith is tested. That's where you're really going to be put to the grind to see how you handle it. And are you going to fall back to fear and old programming and what everybody else in the world truly relies on because it's certain of if you choose fear, this is what happens? Or are you going to rely on God and test it, that everything's going to work out, even though you have no logistics to prove it and no one's backing you up to do it? Just you. So all of it just
And
led
your
to,
creator.
and your creator, you and your creator. That goes without saying. You and your creator, right? So all of it compounded to being able to do what we do now and getting the trust put together and having taught people and shown like this is all true stuff. Like these are all things you have to do. You just have to believe in yourself and your creator that you can do it. And don't set limitations on yourself, you know? Always expect good things because you get what you expect. If you constantly expect bad things to happen, that's all you're going to get. If you expect you're going to get sick, you're going to get sick. If you expect you're going to be happy, you're going to be happy. Like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy every time you give yourself a fear-based outcome.
Or
So,
faith-based.
yeah, I can't tell you how many movies. There's I'll leave this last thing and then we can move on. But if anybody's ever seen Kung Fu Panda with Master Oogway and Master, oh
I
my
can't
God,
remember.
he's the turtle. He's the old turtle in the first movie, and he had a vision that one of the bad guys was going to escape from prison, and he tells this to his secondary the beneath him, the Master Oogway, and he's like, Master Oogway goes into fear. He's like, oh no, that's not going to work. We have to stop him. We have to blah 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 blah. So he sends out a bird, a duck, to go like, tell the guards to up their security, up everything, like make sure that he does not get out. And Master Shifu was his name. Master Shifu says sometimes the things that we don't want to happen come when we try to make them not happen. So in a way, like that was like that's not the exact way he said it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
by trying to prevent something from happening in the action of trying to prevent it, you cause the ripple effect of that thing ending up coming to life. So the duck that went to go fly to increase security let a feather go and it dropped all the way down to the prisoner and the prisoner grabbed the feather, unlocked the locks and he got it and he escaped. So so in the fear of trying to avoid an outcome, the fear-based decisions created the outcome. So if you literally just let go of the fear, you prevent any outcome of what fear could happen from happening. The ripple effect won't occur. The scenario, the coincidences won't align. But if you choose to, I'm going to have faith in this is going to work out. I'm going to get this. Or just believe it's already here. Just have gratitude that it's here now. It's already happening. You'll send a vibration out with that thought, and God will operate the way He does and accumulate the coincidences to make that appear into your reality for you to experience. So, yeah, that's like the things that I've learned and seen. So many things I can talk about, even in more movies and all that. But essentially, yeah, that's that.
Wow, that's amazing. And you guys have really taken some real faith-based leaps in doing what you're currently doing, which really nobody else has done before. So, can you explain to the audience what it is you are doing?
Such a loaded question, Lisa.
We got to give them some context.
However you want to answer it right now,
Yeah,
whatever comes forward.
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's a big part of it, letting what naturally flows flow. And I love what you guys have behind yourself right now as the image, because that's the field. And what we are doing right now with you guys and everybody else that has aligned into this field, we're maintaining that field, where the integrity of it, we're making sure that it is the place that we've all been called to, and that we're not trespassing each other. But what has been done is, whew, in 2022, well, I learned for the first time about sovereignty, but, and I put the parentheses there for a reason. But I learned about it back in 2015 was the first time I ever heard anything about a birth certificate and all of this stuff. And I went down that whole rabbit hole. And what I found, to keep it short, is that it didn't align with my creator. It didn't align with the truth. It didn't resonate in my soul for me to go through all of those complicated processes and learn all of these things. And then I realized the separation between what they've built, the mimic of us, has nothing to do with us, and it's literally just a fear matrix of getting us to self-identify with what they've built, and then go represent it, go manage its ledger and its estate, all of those things. But in 2022 was when I first had to use like everything. It's okay, you can end it. The first time that I had had a situation where I had to take everything that God was showing me, our creator was showing me, and then articulate that into a piece of paper. Because I had already like done courses and classes of helping people see the mechanics of this, what we call law, the algorithmic molecular law, helping them notice that happening in their life. And there are certain things that we have control over, and then there are things about this algorithmic molecular law that's finite, it's fixed, we can't change it, no man can oversee it, no man can change its position and its execution of its position, nothing like that. And so I was not trying, I was showing people this, and I was seeing miracles happen in their life. They were seeing miracles happen, and just by getting into a line with it. So I stopped really trying to manifest, and I said, you know what? Everything manifests. Everything is always manifesting from the ether into the physical. But I want to make sure I'm aligned with what's manifesting. I don't want to just go put that I want $1 million and this house and this car out there, because what if that was never part of my path? What if that was not coded into my biofield? And if it's not, then guess what? I have to fight and struggle and stress to keep it and maintain it inside of my field, which is doing what? Is that amplifying me? No, that's draining my entire field and my life.
Wow,
And
that's
so
so insightful.
if I'm being drained, then I'm dying. I'm physically dying. And so it
Mm.
became this space of life or death for me. And so um, in 2022, when I had to put that on paper, I remember going to people in these gurus in the sovereignty movement, and they were saying things about, hold on, no, I can't have that right now. You know how wisdom is. He's over here naked. And so I went to them and I was like, okay, I'm having this situation. How do I go about it? And one of the people had suggested that we lie on record, because what had been done to us was people lying on record, and they suggested that we do the same thing back to remedy it. And my whole body was like, full stop, no, this is not a remedy. I would have to hide the rest of my life. I would not be able to tell the testimony of God's power through this. There's no power, there's no authority in this type of action. So I knew in that moment this was not it. I was watching all these communities of people that were supposedly sovereign and free devour each other, not be helpful. It was just a place that I knew I was not part of. And I knew that, and any time I even spoke in those places about molecular mechanics and what standing in honor truly meant, and really being equitable with each other, everyone was attacked and triggered because I was talking about, things that made them have to change their behavior
Yeah.
instead of just being a victim and victimized by the system. And so I wrote my first notice, and when I did, I didn't speak to the flesh. I didn't go into the notice and say, hey, this is your legal system says this and all this. I went, and I've sent this in the group. You guys have, if you've read it, I said, this message does not come to you alone and lonely. It comes to you backed by the entire kingdom of heaven. Every angel and Christ himself have sent me with this message today. You are trespassing upon the earth inside of bodies that do not belong to you, and you know where you are supposed to be and that you need to go home. So I directed my messages to the entities inside of the bodies that were doing these things to the host that was unaware of it happening, because I know that the moment that the eyes gazed upon the paper, the entity inside would read it. And so that was where I came from with all of my documents. And we watched lawsuits be dropped within 5 days, six-figure ones. We watched the FTC and IRS go, our hands are out of it on tax liabilities of up to six figures. We watched CPS change their tone mid-sentence when they saw my trust. We watched courtrooms completely clear out and shut down for 24 hours, sending people with warrants home. They became unprofitable. We watched hospitals have to give my grandma her ability to make her own choices back instead of just forcing her into hospice. We watched a shelter have to give a dog back after they said the previous day, we're keeping that dog for 30 days. And I sent a notice to the cop and the shelter. And the next morning at 9:24 a.m., I get an email saying, you can come pick up the dog anytime. And I'm like, oh, I thought that this was policy. I thought that, you had to do this. And so I watched a police officer write a letter of intent to even speak to me instead of fear mongering me into questioning, because I told him I know what your line of question is and I'm not participating. We're not sitting down and doing this. I watched police stations completely stop infringement within 24 hours. I watched entire law offices stop their movement instantly as soon as they got the notice because they didn't know what to do. I've seen district attorneys trip over themselves. Like, it's just because I don't speak their language. I don't put myself in their sandbox. I don't use their forms. I don't try to quote their stuff that has nothing to do with me. Every bit of it was written for a mimic, a paper fiction that's not me. If the only reason that it could even affect me is if I identify with it. And how do they know if I'm identifying with it? Because I'm giving it precedent. I'm giving it authority. I'm giving it power. I'm asking for permission. I'm using their language. I'm using their forms. I'm using their codes and policies to make my points. I can't prove a fact with a fiction. And every code and statute that they have is a fiction. Over my physical biofield and all of that, you can't find a single legality in the entire system, not the Declaration, not the Constitution, not the Bill of Rights, not the codes, statutes, policies, regulations, that says that they have authority or attachment to a biofield, molecular matter, or the living man. Not one. And so why would I go and quote all of their other stuff to make my points? So all I did was take what I was already doing in coursework and just articulate that into common sense. I'm sorry, but I'm going to need you to prove that I'm not going to harm myself by falling into your delusion. I'm going to need you to prove that you authored the molecular matter of my biofield and that you have oversight of that. I'm going to need you to prove that you're making sure that my body is blinking, speaking, thinking, processing information, and that you're the reason that I can exist right now. I'm going to need you to prove all of these things, because if you can't prove those things, you're no different than I, you're no greater than I, and there's something that you are answering to as well. And I came to this space of having this revelation of realizing that if they had authority, why would they spend so much money, hire so many people, build so much elaborate monitoring systems and programming for us? If they could bypass free will and force our will, they wouldn't have done all of that. That's too expensive. That's too time consuming.
Yep.
So therefore, the simple deduction told me that they don't. And that they know that our creator won't even come in between us and our free will, and they can't either. They don't have that authority. So this brought me to the space of, okay, we have to bring governance back to self and to God. Not to, and this is where I trigger a lot of sovereign movements at the same time, because I'm trying to get them to see that when they go and they build these councils and these assemblies and they start forming armies and all of this stuff, that you're literally just doing the same thing the legal system did. You're still trying to play God. You're still trying to serve justice. And as I've said a million times at this point, no man on earth that I have ever met has been able to tell me what he deserves in
Mm.
justice. Not one. I can't even say it. None of us on this call can say what we deserve. We don't truly know. So, therefore, if we can't even say it about our own field and our own life, how can we serve that in another's life? If we can't decipher that data here, how can we do it out there? So it invalidates this claim that anybody, any judge, anything whatsoever can say what we're supposed to receive because we could do the same thing today. And because of our perception being different, our walk being different, and the mission that God has us on and what he's showing us and speaking to us inside are different, he would say, well, for you to get this and your comprehension, you got to go through this, and she has to go through that. They're two different things, even though you did the same thing. No
Mm.
man on the behind the bar even considers these things. He's not thinking about any of that. He's just robotic, going, well, this statute says this, and because of that, I have this much room to serve my own ego and put my own emotions in this and lay something on you because you pissed me off. That's
Right.
not justice. And just like going into a courtroom and they bring in the juries, well, they got to bring in the jury because it's a popularity contest. It has nothing to do with justice. It's who can sell their side of the story to the jury the best, and the jury eat it up and believe it. Where is justice in that? Where is clarity in that? Where is comprehension in that? It's not there. There's no awareness happening inside of a courtroom. It's just, and so bringing all of that is what brought, and I didn't do any of this. I have to state that very clearly, is I am just a vessel that's serving. I know how to be obedient and surrender. That's all I know how to do. I can't take credit for a single thing that I've done. And I
That's
never
a lot, Brandi. That's more than most people know how to do.
will. And so,
That's the
um,
problem.
yes, and that's
Yes.
why we're trying to get people back to this. It's so important to surrender and be obedient to a higher calling. So to realize, to have enough humility to know I did not create the matter of myself. I can't even tell you all the processes in my body and how they work and why they're there. So how could I have created it? I didn't. So I have to have the humility to like bow to what did and trust in what did. So bringing that into what we've done is just letting it flow through, and you guys have witnessed it. I don't rush things. I like to take my time to let it come out how it's supposed to, because I am flawed. I'm flesh. I can make mistakes. So time reveals all things and is a beautiful, beautiful gift that if we use it in his favor, will work out for all of us. So when all of this started flowing out, the first notice, I didn't notice at the time that that was going to lead into other things. I was just like, okay, I know how to stand and take my whole family out of the system and really stand in our own authority and dictate our life with God leading us, not man. And I put it away for years. I didn't really say anything. I didn't go public. Anytime that I did show anybody anything, it was a very small group in Telegram or something like that. I didn't try to get out there. And then I got sick. And it wasn't what it was is that I was outsourcing myself again because I was trying to be everything for everyone because I had so much inside of me that I knew could help so many people. And I was like, I just got to get it out there because they're suffering. They're suffering. What about me? What about what I was suffering from? And one of my complexes was trying to save everybody. And I'm like, I didn't create that. So I can't go save it. Everything. So what I was saying earlier is community comes together after they've done the walk to save themselves. That's when we know we can come together and have harmony and peace and not harm each other, not trespass each other. If we try to come before that, everybody is looking for somebody to save them and blame somebody that won't. So, and
Right.
it falls
Same
apart.
with individual relationships. Like you each
Yes.
had done your work before you came together. And you
Yes.
do more together, but you have to have at least that foundation
It's
Yep.
so
of
crucial.
self-responsibility and
Yeah.
self-awareness.
Well, it's stepping into alignment. I mean, you have to, you can't. have somebody come in here into what we're doing, and we have to show them the ropes of how to even understand what molecular law is, or what creator is, or how to instill their own authority in their life in some sort of way. You know, could we and could we do
Eventually
that?
that'll happen. People will be coming through, but that'll
Yeah.
be after all the ones that already are there with us are
Yep.
there to help us
We
help them.
we went down the route for so many years of just trying to get people awake to themselves and help them do the things that they need to do when they weren't even ready to do it.
Mm.
That's when we realize when we're
That it was actually
it's the
detrimental to
yeah,
them.
it's
It
the
was doing the opposite.
yep, it's the
Mhm.
Field of Dreams quote, build it and they will come. And it's not just they, it's literally the aligned people who have done the work will come to what you've built because they're the ones that can see what you see. Then
Right.
someone who hasn't gone through their tribulations or struggles to understand that this is how you got to work with your creator. This is how alignment works. This is the consequences of your choices and the revelations that all comes with. They can't I forgot where I was going with that, but they can't come into what we're doing unless they have gone through that. They have to go through something that is forcing them to see themselves. And the only thing at the moment that people can see themselves through is when they're going through tough times, when they're going through some sort of struggle, either something physical, something emotional, something internal, whatever it is. That's when
Yeah.
people start self-reflecting. Some people
And all people do.
but what I was going to say is some people will go to the grave not ever acknowledging themselves. And that's the reality. And we can't save those people. It's not our job to save people. It's our job to help those who are already saved themselves. It's the
Right,
that,
and may still be going through some struggle, but they've
Yeah.
done the foundational work before that, that they
Yeah.
understand what's going on, at least on
Yeah.
some level.
Yes.
yeah,
And that's crucial for them to have that, at least that self-reflective conversation and acknowledgement.
Yeah,
When it's not there at all, there's literally nothing, anything
yeah,
that any of us can do at all,
right.
because it's always going to be a
Well,
place of denial and throwing
yeah,
it off somewhere else.
because we're all going through so much right now. I mean, we're going through, humanity is going through so much, and
Yeah.
individually we're going through so much, and in our communities and everywhere.
Yep.
And, but what's happening right now is we're all realizing, those of us who are ready are realizing that it's time for us to find each other, and that is happening. It's
Yeah.
being revealed. We're being drawn to each other so
Yep.
that we can support each other in what we need to do to get where we need to go.
Yeah.
yep,
And that's huge on how we put our message out there too. And so to get back to asking what we do, we literally he creator built a jurisdiction already in the ether. There was already jurisdictional three dimensions, as above, so below, physical dimension. We manifest either one of those through choice, free will, authority. But we brought it to a physical, tangible space that you can hold in your hands and stand inside of, that governments and agencies around the world have to acknowledge. And even the UN has said we have no authority over this, no legal authority or jurisdiction over what of this, because they know they don't. They know that they can never prove it. They can never prove that they made all of us or the matter that made us all up. They can't disprove that their legal system is inside of that molecular matter and manifested from it, and that they chose to manifest from the so below, which is distortion, cellular disbursement, dis-ease. All of that is happening down there, and they rose from that while we descended from the as above, where we can be solid, right? So this is a jurisdiction that people can literally now declare, come home to, and have it on record, so that the legal system can't assume and presume anything over them anymore. They can't just pretend, oh, they have been pretending and representing this mimic for so long, so they obviously think that that's their identity. It puts everybody forcefully into dissociative identity disorder, and
Mm.
you're being two people at once, and it's not possible, not in
Oh my gosh,
quantum.
that's so true. And then that affects our health because we're wondering, like, why we have so much like conflict issues within our consciousness and within our bodies. Well, they have, or our body, not within our bodies, but our bodies react to that, right?
Yeah.
yep.
Wow.
Right? And then we wonder why we don't feel like ourselves. Like, why don't I feel well? Why don't I feel like myself? Well,
Yeah.
because we're not being ourselves. We're being this gimmick, this paper fiction, the all caps name. And we don't even realize that we are being manipulated. And
Yes.
how our quanta is intertwined, quantum entanglement with all
Huh?
of the systems that are designed to steal our living life force energy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's by us acknowledging it, giving it relevance, and standing up to represent it that it gives it life. It's dead without us. So
Right.
if everybody today decided, you know what, I'm going to turn away from even acknowledging these invitations of the system that are constantly calling me to invite and entice me into identification, it would lose its power so fast.
Well,
It's like the taxpayer Bill of Rights thing that I decoded, and it was like just change taxpayer to mimic and change you to mimic when you're reading this, and it will reveal itself
yep.
that it's not mandatory, that it's talking about something that, and why I laugh so much because it's like it can contact us, it can say this, it can speak, and it's like no, it can't. It's a piece of paper. It can't do any of those things.
Yep. So, what one thing to touch on that she just said is that if we were to just stop focusing on the system, at least the legal system, and put our attention to something else, like it needs us to live. The
Right.
jurisdiction can't work without us.
Manifest with our
Right.
energy.
So here's a science example, another provable fact. If anyone's ever heard of the double slit experiment, going into consciousness, the aspect of it is if you don't look at something, it's just wave of potential. The moment you look at it, it materializes into particles, and they show that. And whoever doesn't know about this, who's watching, go look it up. Point is, whatever you pay attention to becomes physical. Whatever you don't pay attention to is potential. It's nothing yet. It's whatever it is. So we put our attention attention and intention by because intention is essentially just looking at each other. That's intention. No matter you can call it attention, but the reality is it's intention. So by looking at the or paying attention to the actual jurisdiction of the as above into what's being done here, you don't fuel the other system.
Right.
And just like a fire, if you don't give it wood, the fuel
Right.
it needs to keep burning, it will eventually die out. How
Right.
long? That depends on the world.
Yeah.
That
Right.
depends on how long they want to keep fueling it. But I just know that if little by little we keep putting more attention into what really matters and what's actual
We're
truth,
starving it.
it will die.
Yes.
You can't
And
fight it with fire. It just makes it bigger.
that's one of the things I love about what you guys are doing because you're not trying to change the system. You're not trying to say, you what you guys are doing is wrong and you need to do it this way. No, you're like, got it. So below, that's what you're doing. Makes sense based on where you came from. You
Yeah.
know? But that's not us and we're
Yeah.
not doing that. And
Uh,
we don't identify with that anymore. We only did because we didn't know any better. Now we
mhm.
do. Because I think a lot of people feel like they're not willing to like do something outside of the system because like you said, if everybody made that decision at once, great, we're all fine because it would just go away. But everybody's not going to make that decision at once, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? So then anybody who does it is like, "Oh no, it's too dangerous. I'm a target, whatever," right? But the way that it's been set up, the way that you guys have set it up is making it so those of us who are willing to, I mean, it does take being brave, does take trusting, but those of us who are willing to do that and we've already done enough inner work that we do know who we are, at least on some level, we might forget, we might still be dealing with the stuff of the world just like everybody is. But we can do this together in a way that like they just like okay, you do your thing. They'll be the same with us that we are with them now. You do your
Yeah.
thing, we'll do ours.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're not trying to invalidate them. We're not trying to war with them. We're literally honoring free will. They're honoring, even though they're coming from distortion, they're honoring free will. They're giving you the opportunity to make the choice to identify with them
Yeah.
and to even break it down into molecular law or molecular mechanics. Imagine the field behind you is the legal system. And then in another field, simultaneously parallel to it, is what our system, right? And the legal system if you've identified with that field for so long, that field is coursing through your field, through your molecules, right? You're feeling it. You can feel everything of that matrix. So now when you go to disconnect from it, that field is like, wait a second, I'm losing my power. I'm losing the energy that I have to keep and maintain this field as what it is. So then every other thing inside of that field, all the people around you that immediately fall into fear, it's not just them falling into fear, it's literally the molecules in their body that are feeling distorted and out of place and weak in that moment that are trying to regain the power. They're trying to pull you back in because,
Right. It's the same thing families do when
yes,
someone chooses self-healing over the medical model, and
yes,
they're like, so they get so scared. They're like, well, we want you to go to this doctor. We want you to get this diagnosis. We want you to do this treatment. You have to do it because they're scared.
yeah.
Yep.
But, you got to make your own choice.
Yeah, if you, I know I personally can. I don't know about you guys, but I can feel the specific vibration of the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. It's certain different things that I was experiencing back when I would, or listening, watching WCW with my grandpa, or, just these certain things you can feel, you can remember the feeling of the entire room when you go back to those memories. And that's what I'm getting at here is that that is happening on that side. It's also happening on this side. Look at what we've done so far. We're a small group right now, but it's only going to get bigger. And so far, we have maintained field integrity, and it is only going to get more powerful. And what it's instead of it causing people to fear, it's going to do the opposite. It's going to cause people to have faith.
Yep.
It's going to cause them to feel empowered. It's going to cause them to step into authority.
That's exactly what we're seeing with Hoping Healing. Same thing. Like people are scared to like let go. They're scared to make that choice. But once they make it and they have a group of people supporting that and we're coming
Yeah.
together and supporting each other and we have something, we have the faith. We're being guided. We're learning to listen to that guidance. Then they're just like having miracles. They're just like, wow.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And literally all we have to do is just choose where our currency flows. Everything we do is a transaction, whether it's look at the screen, have a conversation, give attention or intention, as he was saying, every bit of it's a transaction of our currency, our life force. So where are we transacting? What are we funding with our currency? What are we giving
Yes.
authority to
Such a
continue
good
to
point.
remain?
Yep.
And and the fear comes because I'm constantly hearing people, well, how can you manage all these people and all of this stuff that's chaos if you don't have a bunch of armies and governors and presidents and all of this stuff? And it's like there are highways of energy and you're traveling one or the other. You can only align with which highway you're on and what comes on that highway.
Yep.
You're not going to, if you're traveling a very amplifying road, you're not going to align with a murderer and a rapist
Right.
and, all of these other things. They're going to align with each other. And by default of molecular law, it's going to hash itself out over there away from you. You're not going to be in the midst of it. You're not going to be a casualty to it. And this is
Yep.
where a lot of people don't want to let go because one, they want justice to happen in right then, right there in the way they view that it should,
Yep.
instead of letting a higher power be the dictator of that.
Mhm.
Um, they're also seeing things based on their level of perception, their veils, their traumas, their emotions. All of that's getting worked into the processing here. And then on top of that, we have our etheric body, we have our emotional body, we have our trauma body, we have our physical body. So anytime we're looking, experiencing, talking, expressing any of that, we're processing four bodies at one time with one essence doing all the processing work. That's a lot. And we think that we're insignificant. Are you kidding me?
Wow, you guys are just, powerhouses. I know that you guys could go for hours with this, and we could too. And I want to be mindful of people's time, so
Yeah.
and not just like get it all at once. Like I'm sure we'll get together again, and we've got other channels of information.
Of course.
So yeah, so speaking of that, I see you've got the eraarc.com on your video there.
Mhm.
But like tell people how they can get connected to what you guys are doing and learn more.
They can go to eraarc.com, and I'd say go and just thoroughly go through the website, feel it out, because it's not just about information, it's about what you feel. And if it makes sense to you, because it's it's a big jump if you're not ready for it, but those of you that are ready, you'll feel it, and it's just gonna be something you're gonna feel. You'll move on.
It was written to be recognized by those that speak the language
Yep.
and written to not be recognized by those that don't.
Yep. So eraarc.com, book a call with us, and let's talk. Like that's
And we also have Telegram, but that you'll have to find in one of our social medias because they hide our Telegram. And we're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We're all out there. EraArc is where you'll find us.
Yep.
Beautiful. And, it's such a freeing process as we go through this, just speaking from my own experience with this, stepping out of that distorted system that we've all been subjected to is so incredibly freeing. I feel so much lighter, so much brighter. It's like so much more thought space has opened up just by getting rid of all of that garbage that was just hanging out in my field. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
same here.
it's very, very healing. It's one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself. If you are aligned with this, please reach out to Brandi and Ryan because they are working miracles. So thank you
Yes.
both so much for being our guests today. It was such an honor and a pleasure to have you here. I'm sure that we'll have you back at some point in the future as well.
Absolutely.
Yes. We have
Thank
lots to do together. So it's just
Yes. Yes, once again, thank you for saying yes and showing up. This is such a perfect example of what I always say about what a difference we make when we do that. So thank you again for that, and we love you. We
we love you
appreciate you.
too.
Thank
Thank
you
you
guys.
guys.
Love you, and this has been amazing. And looking forward to the next call we do.
And I want
Yeah.
to say I appreciate the surrender that you guys and everybody else that's come into our community has had thus far. It makes the work lighter, like you said. It makes it not feel like the whole world is sitting right here.
We're all doing this together for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes.
And again, that's what's happening as we all attract our perfect match people
Yes.
that we're all supposed to be working together. Is that we don't come in like trying to fight the one who's trying to help us. You know?
Right?
It's like we're like,
Thank you.
okay, I feel it. I'm supposed to be working with you. Okay, so what are we doing?
Yeah.
And we're all like, how can we contribute? What can we do? How can we help?
Yeah.
So this is how we all heal together.
It's and that's so important. And again, I don't want to take up too much time, but that is crucial. Knowing how to be there for each other in a community and steward each other's vision because we all have a different vision that our creator is bringing through us. And if we have that ability to honor the 0 point of the manifestation as it comes out of the vessel, that makes such a big difference. It allows us to all work together, even in working in different directions, all but going in the same direction.
Yes.
Yep. Yep. I mean, and it's, no matter what it is, you feel the fears come up. They're always going to come up. And you just go, but this feels right. And I'm going to continue saying yes to it. And I'm
Yeah.
going to be in faith. I'm going to stay in the faith of what I know rather than what, the fear is telling me.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's a perfect way to end it.
So
All right. Well, until we meet again or until we talk again, probably later today.
Yeah.
So we thank all of our guests and all of our audience today. Thank you all for listening to our Whole Being Healing podcast. And we'll look forward to the next time. So
Yes.
until then, we wish you Happy
Happy
healing.
healing. Bye.